Why the hell did I just start reading political tweets in that last? Oh, even knows. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. Y'all thought it was funny with me. Let's go put on some fun music and get to ending one inco. You know what? It works for me. God, this song's so mellow. The importance of E1 as a consequence for player choice. But, I don't know, man. How do you even get there? You have to try pretty hard. As beloved as Snoot Game and Wani are for their audiences, neither game is above criticism from said audience. From anyone, really. It doesn't have to be the audience. Actually, no, the audience is implicit. It's kind of weird to criticize them without reading it, I guess. Fair enough. I guess that's fair. The critic is the audience, so what are you going to do about that, huh? Many critics can complain a little bit of both. Some less worthy of merit than us. It's a weird thing to include, because that always implies that you are worthy of the merit, by definition. It's kind of weird, just saying, buddy. But perhaps no issue is more contention than of ending on Wani, which features an iteration of the protagonist that is very off-putting and abhorrent. This version of Inko, often known as Oneko, I'll call him Oneko, that works, is often so... Oneko. Yeah, verbally it works. It's just that there's an E in there, which implies that it's Oneko. Is so contentious, in fact. I believe this mannerisms are completely at odds with how he acts before. He is kind of extreme compared to everything else. And thus represents a failure of the writers to deliver a version more compatible with how he's... I mean, you could still kill Olivia without that, I guess. Of course, some could argue that the purpose of E1 in both games is not to present a satisfactory narrative conclusion, but just to show you that you fucked up and need to go to hell. The consequentialism. This consequentialism is created an emotional bond between the player character, the protagonist, and the female deuterologist. Is she a deuterologist? She's still a protagonist. She's not controllable, though, but she's still, like, the main character of the story, narrative-wise, right? Can there only ever be one protagonist? The leading or major character. Oh, no. Second to the protagonist. Okay, so if you're going with hard definition, then yeah, the main character you're controlling is more important, and the second would be... I thought that just meant, like, you know, you got your primaries, your secondaries, and your tertiaries. I didn't know this had, like, a more specific meaning than that. That defines the first experience for better or worse. Or they're getting it because you have to get all the fucking endings to get the fucking game to do the thing. I don't know what to tell you, my man. There's no more evidence in E1's Snoot game, which ends in a horrific way as things still discussed to this day. Though the gravity of the situation in E1's Snoot game being arguably far greater in terms of measuring cost of life, the ending one of Wani, the latter still undergoes more scrutiny and criticism. It's because there's a lot more to criticize. Because E1 in Snoot game is just like a hard shock value. The extremes of to which things can go, which to an extent implies that the LGBT community is going to start shooting people if they don't get what they want, which is kind of weird, because Fang isn't, but I'm saying, like, there's only the big thing to criticize. Anon is still a simp, he lives up to his characteristics, Fang still hates the world, you know, everyone fits in their neat little role and everything works. It's just that the way they went about it is so extreme that it overshadows everything else, so there's really only so much you can argue before it's like, who cares about the nuances? The big problem hasn't been fixed yet. Which, in a sense, is also a fallacy. Anyway. From this we can infer the community does find it acceptable to show a horrible outcome. But what is not deviating from is how someone is portrayed... But what is not is deviating from how someone is portrayed to the point that they may as well be an entirely different character. This is the basis of the complaints I have seen, and I think it's... Yeah, I never really felt that Anon was different in anyone. He still felt like Anon. Just a really fucked up version of himself, but he's still him. Personally, I think it's more important. Why does my stomach keep emptying? My stomach keeps emptying. Instead of just accepting the water and letting itself settle down, it keeps going like, we're flushing, baby! God damn it, stomach. On the other hand, I personally find that it's more important to show the characters, show the consequences of actions where it can potentially lead to the character in a game. Wait! I wasn't... Listen, I keep doing this. On the other hand, I personally believe it's more important to show the consequences of the player's choice and see where it can lead the protagonist in their character development than it is to make the audience feel comfortable with how the character... Yeah. One is just like hitting someone with a stick. The other is inspiring them to do better by showing them what went wrong. Because in the end, the way in which Wonko behaves is very unsettling. Extremely. The more I contemplated Wonko, the more I've actually come to respect for writing the way they did, despite my own misgivings on how they did other... Ooh. I really didn't think much of E1 at first, aside from the interesting interaction with Damien and Mia. Oh, we're going for something nuanced. You have me off guard. I wonder where this is going now. Because I thought A, but maybe B, and that's good writing. Because I'm hooked! I'm not, as they say in Splatoon, off the hook. That guy is just shifting through the game code. You got nothing with it, buddy? The section in the game to which all possible outcomes with human variations here and there endings are achieved. Oh yeah, this is the split section, right? Where Albrecht Shaw doesn't even consider Olivia and his musings to himself about doing menial chores with them. Yeah. Yeah, I noticed this too, but I didn't really think that much of it. But it is very intentional, because that doesn't happen by accident. Okay. I went out of the way, a small detail. I just overlook most people play this game. Yeah, who the fuck's gonna notice this? Unless you're fast-forwarding, that it specifically stops you there. Which is how you might notice it, if you're being a little weirdo. But you wouldn't know, and I guess fast-forwarding might not be a way people play. That is some speculation about... Unless you do fast-forward... Yeah, until choices. If you do until choices, yeah, you might miss some stuff. There's some speculation as to how and why E1 got made. I've heard that it's one of the leftovers from the original script back when a different team was working on the first version of Wani, and they stuck it in like the arcade chapter. Even if this is true, I didn't think they just shoehorned it in. Well, I saw Wani Gemu, and Wani Gemu feels more like Ending 1 Inko, I guess. The arcade feels weird, though. The arcade stuck around? Doesn't feel like it. It feels a bit disjointed with how it's... but, you know... It's a fun building the relationship moment. Clearly, they thought on how it was to be executed. Even if we may not like E1 for having an out-of-character version of Inko, I still think it's worth considering why they chose to go in this direction, because I don't believe they were half-assing it. I don't think it's taken so lightly. Oh yeah, this. I still think it's so fucking weird that, like, it's a see-through shirt. Like, come on, man! Now's not the time. You're the artist. You're allowed to take artistic liberty to achieve a better result. For all that add-on... I guess maybe that's the point, right? Is if you got the bad ending and you're still fucking ogling, like, what are you doing, man? You deserve the shooting. Narratively speaking. Like, you deserve the bad, horrible ending that makes you feel like an asshole. Because, you know, you're doing the wrong thing at the worst time. Please note that I'm capable of separating fiction from fucking reality, my man. For all that Anon Nico may do, performers at Fork and Channing Card, the other Reddit. Still, man! Why would they write about Reddit anyway? Such a weird choice after coming from 4chan. I do believe there's a surprising lot of overlap between the two. Either taking was ending one. When our last Snoot came, the one thing that sounds immediately when Fang asks Anon if he'd like to do something with her, he responds by saying he's saving up money for a video game. And she patiently watches him play video games. What a weird thing to answer with. This version of Anon will still let her goof off and play video games and seize the opportunity to further develop his bond with Fang. Later on, after that disastrous prom night, he ends up playing Xbox for 10 hours! How do you... I mean, that legendary run's gotta get finished, my man. It's important. When she returns, he reacts with terror, thinking her to either be her dad looking for him or skin him alive! The extra craven and cowardly, thinking of his own immediate desires over like a goon with a high time preference. Even when he takes her to a rocket and roll museum, he can't even muster the enthusiasm to be interested in her favorite hobby. Which itself is interesting because there's a lot of overlap between E1 of Snoot and E2 of Wani. Right down to Fang and Olivia becoming victims of their own hubris. True. Snoot for templates for E1 of Wani. The Inko shows far more enthusiasm and support. It's interesting to look at it. Interesting. Hold up. There's kind of a line that I want to look up. If you'll excuse me for a minute. Please! I just need a moment to... Hello? I think it's like the last time Trish talks in that chapter. I think it's funny that, remember, this is the ending, right? This is the ending where Fang just fucking murders everyone, and she's like, I'm so proud of what I did to her. Fang gets up and turns to a nearby smoothie booth, leaving me here to deal with these. So Anon, her grin is just short of vicious. So happy you agreed to my idea. Guess you're starting to get some good tastes. Better than any of that wee pop trash you've got on your phone. I pointedly ignore her. She's trying to get a rise on me. Maybe I'll make somebody out of you too. Maybe. I really like that line. Maybe I'll make someone out of you two. And then he just lets her get away with it. It's not worth it. And I've had enough of this, but it's too little too late. I don't know why, but that line just fucking hits me. Maybe I'll make somebody out of you two. Such big words from someone with a failing band who is destroying her friend. It's a threat. That's a threat. But only we know that. Yeah, he does, because that's kind of the point. During prom, when things don't go according to Fang's plan, Anon handles it poorly, and in the aftermath, only fosters ongoing nihilism, but trying to tell her nothing matters. This, and his confession of her and to her of Naomi's plan, sends Fang over the edge. What follows is the worst case scenario. As you can see, Anon anyone acts like a coward who treats Fang's needs like annoyances, keeping him from his shallow pleasures. Similarly, he shows little to no concern for Olivia's depressive state, and when he plans their date, he eschews an original idea to take her to the pier. Go to a mall for a meeting with some content creator fellows. And before him, he's prioritizing immediate and personal gratification over Olivia. This only escalates, and that either form we can think about as being presentable for his peers. Both characters act in a cowardly fashion. Above all adversity. Before adversity. Whatever's Anna refusing to confront Trish, A. Or Inko brushing off Damien's concerns, capitulate to Mia. What a weird switch. Where they differ in their actions, as the endings proceed to get worse, I believe why so many take issue with Inko. Wonko. It's Wonko. It's Wonko. In the shooting incident, Anon, who's been acting selfish and coward up to that point, arguably something very courageous and ventures into the school to find Fang, risking life in them. I, again, feel this is kind of weird. Like, sure, he stays on target, but if he's cowardly and craven, him doing this is just to vindicate the reader. Look, Anon, when the cards are down, you do something. You still fuck up like a loser, but you tried. Gets off weirdly easy is what I'm trying to say. Like, at least he tried, right? He doesn't go to his deathbed saying he didn't try. His fears are cast further back. Whereas the real despair and damnation is like, you didn't even bother. Which is the point, right? He ends up in a nightmare scenario, even commenting as much, which since panicking is almost entirely his fault, however directly or indirectly, and he's forced to confront the grim reality of it. He still wheels himself towards Fang, thinking of her and her pain at that moment. What a weird thing to do from a guy who just didn't give a shit a moment ago. The final scene with him at the cemetery is filled with self-loathing, even though Fang did was objectively worse. To the point that Kavenon characterized their actions as evil. I mean, you know, she didn't just shoot, like, you know, Naomi and Nasser, who we know did stuff. She also killed a couple of random other people. Like, one is like, yeah, that's really extreme vigilantism. And, like, beyond the pale, but I wouldn't call it evil. More like excessive opportunism. But you started shooting strangers who didn't do anything. And, like, at that point, I'm like, you know, I feel bad calling it opportunism at that point. Like, you had a chance and you took all of them. Despite Anon's flaw, there's still something fundamentally good and decent about him. Even though a better version was forced to wake up and confront. That's so weird to do. He's remorseful, doesn't I guess that's why people like him, though. It's because he does have that moment. And Fang does have that moment. At the last moment, she realizes, well, I fucked up. But I ain't living. And that's why None in the Chamber is so interesting. Because Fang gets that moment. I still... Miko does the opposite. Oh, God, he looks so creepy in this. She looks so desperate. Spaghetti strap extrapolated. That chest is so... You're so wide chest-wise. What is going on? You have a gator body. Ugh. I don't think your ribcage is that long, man. Or deep? Wide? Throughout E1 of Wani, Iko's actions are those of someone who acts socially inept with no capacity for introspection, and when things get worse, he doubles down, living in some kind of deluded world he's made for himself. He refuses to acknowledge reality to the point that he denies what happens to Olivia is even his fault. Yeah. He's not even willing to take responsibility when the cards are down. Given the goal of Wani's to develop beyond a simpleton doesn't think of him for himself and develop into a personal agency, I suspect maybe ending as shocking as possible. As they did, as a kind of tongue-in-cheek jab at visual novel enjoyers who would like to see themselves as little protagonists who can do no wrong and is entitled to a happy ending. The correct choice is less obvious than Institute, I believe. whereas ending 1 of Snoot Game betrays a version of Anon who is more or less the same as when he begins the story, it shows him a version who, if anything, regressed. Because, you know, he has to. He has to withdraw from the world, given that Inko's very impressionable. I took this to mean that the aspects, okay, have rubbed off on him. Yeah, Ben and Mia rub off, fair enough. And I still believe that to be the case. He shows signs of narcissism, and narcissists have a psychopathic manner towards social, lording any amount of power over their social inferiors. Ugh. I think the intention was to shove it in the player's face, but they themselves can wind up if they walk around with main character syndrome. Which, you know, after Snoot Game might make sense, because Snoot Game really did kind of go that way, right? It didn't temper it that much, all things considered. Especially with E3 being what it was. Unable to demonstrate critical thinking or introspection, also taking things at face value. Inko's initial tendency to take things only at face value is supposed to be one of his biggest roadblocks in development. If we all accept this given for the sake of an argument, then it would obviously be it would actually point to Inko being more fundamentally flawed than Anon from the start, despite Anon being more openly negative. In other words, if you take them both same thing, Anon only seems negative, but is actually a better person from the outset for being a free thinker, unlike Inko. What? He begins himself as shallow consumers with brain rot. Yet another thing that gave me pause while poking around the game's scripting is during the when Inko is presented with the first choice, which is either I can't hate you, but why do all this? Hate is a strong and visceral word, I believe, and I've actually always suspected that may lie at the heart of Inko's character. When he tells himself he doesn't hate her, it's actually a lie, and he's telling himself more than her. Given the preamble, given all the good reasons applied, Inko doesn't in fact feel empathy. He's putting his hate aside. Why do all this? His immediate response, I'm probably gonna hate myself for this, but implying he's carrying around some kind of self-hatred or capacity for self-hatred. I've already gone on about how I think that Inko is a wimp and my other guys, and I won't do that again. But for now, I'll just assume that this wording is very deliberate by the writers to show that Inko may have some internalized self-hatred. What a weird thing to have for a guy whose entire point said he's oblivious. I guess it was suppressed by other obliviousness. Even somewhat evident in the first chapter where he wants to give up on darn dodgeball. He's suffering from constant feelings of longing and inadequacy. When he finally finds someone he can develop more of a relationship with, he's met with the revelation that not only does she think very little of him, she even tried to use him. So he's right to hate himself. Is what he would say. Though at this point, he's so desperate for any kind of companionship that he's willing to accept this if he means to still be friends with her, and more. That alone doesn't make this ember of hatred go away, and I think I've made this decision differently in the first 3 endings. In ending 2, it merely remains self-hatred and only compounds Inko's feelings of worthlessness and inadequacy. If we assume that the canon score for is 0 and 4... it seems evident that he's a spark of hatred that continually directed at himself. I don't know, it'll only grow from there. As I agresses into a simp that lets his girlfriend, who probably has BPD, abuse and belittle him to know what. BPD, yeah, I mean, it's a good way to describe someone who's like constantly flip-flopping back and forth between these things for abuse. But on the other hand, that's just how abusive people act, right? That's just how the cycle of abuse works. I've been told. And so he rationalizes what she did to him. He wants to hate her, but he's still weak to confront her. Man, that just sounds like abuse, not BPD. He's trying to rationalize that the abuse is deserved. My man. My homeboy Slice. On the other hand, if ending 3 is achieved, Inko develops a stronger sense of self and self-confidence. And we see his hatred emerge and vent himself towards Ben. And finally find a suitable outlet. Oh, yeah! Because he does push, yeah. He's forgiven Olivia because he now sees her as Ben's victim, and by extension, he's also a victim of Ben's deviousness. They're both victims. She's Olivia's weakened to protect her from... Yeah! Which fully manifests in the ending tirade at Ben, the growing desire to smother Olivia. Yeah, oof. However, if we go down the E1 route, it's pretty clear that Inko still hasn't found an outlet, and the rage word Olivia is merely venting itself in passive-aggressive ways. Couple that with an undeveloped sense of self and a growing narcissism, it become more evident why he behaves as he does. He's still a blank slate, he's crying out for acceptable validation of some kind. This leads him to do evil things. That was quite similar to Fang. Well, analyze Fang and behavior. Okay, we can see that she has an undeveloped sense of self. So much she backslides into her codependency with her abusive and manipulative friend Trish. Just as an aside, I think Trish is far worse than Naomi, who at best is a disingenuous busybody. True. But he doesn't do anything nearly as bad as Trish. Yet Trish attains some kind of redemption arc, which is the role of film. Huh? I don't think... Does Trish... yeah. Inning 4 is not nice to Naomi. E1 Fang and E2 Naomi share the common fact that they are desperate to be acknowledged by their peers on their own terms. On default, they fall victim to hubris. The difference is that Olivia has grown arrogant and conceited, and shuts away the only other person other than the Atticon that still instill her with confidence, only to then abuse him. Fang, on the other hand, feels relatively powerless without Trish to dictate what she should do, and surrenders to her demands. Further, Fang is still riddled with guilt and self-hatred from when she accidentally dated her younger brother, Nasser. She's forced to relive the experience of seeing him tumble down the stairs. Oh! Interesting connection I never made. She feels responsible. She's still desperate for validation and even forgiveness. There's the fire in her belly. She's willing to do whatever because I'll make back. Yep. How to analyzing relationships. The friendship does form is understanding or misunderstanding, bent to an extent, and Olivia herself leave too much impact. Okay. Do they? I guess. Kind of, maybe a little selfish. Oh yeah. The most people don't like how one code is written for E1. I still believe Earth to be as charitable as possible. Fair enough. That is a good way to do criticism. It's like, what are they trying to do? I deal with whether there are subtle hints throughout the game to that point. I mean, at least having the potential to become Wonko. Since looking at the same theme of self-improvement to introspection, it's important to acknowledge how far you can potentially slip to the depths of depravity. More like the pits of evil! I now attempt to go through these hints one by one. But before proceeding further, it should be made clear that neither Snook Game nor Wani have consistent characterization. Since the outcomes of both games are governed by a point system, it's natural that there will be moments where their respective protagonists choose to behave in as odds with how they behave in Ending 1. For example, if we can imagine a timeline in which Anon speaks to Trish in the principal's office and then waits for her so he can fess up the fact that what happened is as much his fault as hers. Personally, I find that thing debatable, but that's another subject entirely. His responses there are from a version of him that's much more grown and self-aware. It's still theoretically possible to achieve Ending 1. Yeah. If Fang's score still is no higher than 2. Yeah. Possible to ignore Trish, essentially telling her to piss off and still get Ending 3 or 4. Yeah. That's how that works. The point system is a little rough, a little coarse. Taking this to account, I think it's only fair to give Caveman on some leeway as this inconsistency of characterization goes, and how it fits in the score system of both games. Furthermore, the point of E1 is to show the protagonist and the Dino Guru Deuteragonist at their lowest and most underdeveloped. Can I just get this fucking told to me?
Deuteragonist.
We can assume the canon score for E1 and Wani is zeros across the board. The first choice is whatever not to play during the chain note game before the outline my first guides. Okay, yeah, he's just conforming. He's doing what his peer thinks, simultaneously reinforcing Olivia that it's futile to try and form connection with others. He remains craven and psychopathic. For the second choice, please consult my guide on this. I do believe that this is the first time we see Inko 1 manifest as to how he behaves. He's pretty jealous while manipulating her psychologically. You also see that he presents. Oh yeah, because his parents. This is the parent choice. He's the latchkey kid. The narcissist are also the latchkey kid. The latchkey kid. I've never heard that term. A child who is at home without adult supervision for some part of the day, especially after school until a parent returns home from work. Oh, because of the door. The door, that's the latchkey. Interesting. Third choice, negative outcome leaves on the receiving end of scorn and ridicule. Will flip being friendly towards him to being callous and cruel. He's at the whim of his peers, whose approval he would still like at this point. Is still to his peer, whom he's desperate to impress. For choices 4 and 5, he's already manipulated at the barbecue. Now he feels manipulated himself. Begin to view also social interaction as no more than the manipulative power struggles like a sociopath. Yeah, so starting to slink into that idea of, listen, I got to do the math first. For choice 6, which I forgot which one that is. It can be argued that Bonaching for does respect her enough to hold her own against Buster and needs a pity W from him. I still don't think it's interesting. Yeah, I guess fair enough. It's kind of a weird one among the rest of them. Choice 7, which is the picture sweaty, still appealing to appear Damien instead of being confident enough to stand on his own. For 8, his desire to override. Yeah, that's the key. 9, he's caving to peer pressure. Yeah, because he doesn't learn about that part. He's letting men control over himself. Cheapening Yadakon's death. How nice. I don't know what to say, because this feels mostly on point, but we're getting to the revelation soon. All these things add together to create a picture of Olivia who acts cowardly in the face of pressure of peers, friends, and authority figures, and who desires control over Olivia, whom he sees more and more as a social inferior. Thus, a new Inko emerges who is only concerned with pleasing his peers and chasing after their validation like a temporarily embarrassed popular kid. On a personal note, this is one of the reasons why I like E3 the best, because he decides not to go to the formal in a limousine. He only cares about his peer approval, and has the fortitude to make his own special night with Olivia. Yeah, there's a lot to like there. Further to this, there's a scene before choice 3 where Inko contemplates taking a photo of the mess of meatloaf Bennett landed during lunch and thinks better of it. I've seen others mention this is subtle foreshadowing of when he takes Olivia's photo during the formal. Wanko, by that point, has left his conscience behind. Oh yeah, because it's an embarrassing reminder. Let me just look that one up. The third choice would be... Mamma Mia Mean Girls. My instincts kick in. Oh yeah, here we go. That I would, after which my instincts kicked in, hands were going for my camera to capture the moment, after which a feeling of shame rolls over me that I would even consider capturing something like this, especially when it's happening to my friend. Wait a minute. Wait 1 fucking minute. Why does that feel so familiar? Hold up. Here we go. She looks like she fucks human men. I'm all too a friend, so he replies, I feel, yeah. That's where that phrase felt familiar, but it's not an exact copy, so I can't even criticize it for that. It is just its own little thing. Maybe. But it is adapted. Here we go. Where were we? Interesting little comment, though, that he wasn't okay with it then, but now he is. This could be a hint. Wait, where were we? If left conscious behind, there's also a moment where Inko muses to himself that Ben has a remarkable ability to turn social disaster into a non-issue, and envies him for that ability. Yep! There could be a hint on how he ought to handle Mia bullying Olivia. It could also be foreshadowing that when he lies about being the cause of Olivia falling down the stairs. Not personally sure which. Oh yeah, social disaster, non-issue, like, move away, don't acknowledge it, okay. But he mentions the stairs. I barely remember Inko the Terrible. But I think Inko the Terrible is not even the prom. This is like the stairs over here. No, Inko the Terrible is the one. He has to run past them first. This chapter starts with Olivia alone in silence for a while. She looks with blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, here we go. It wasn't my fault. Yeah, he says it to himself. I thought he said it to someone else. I haven't been in ages. Don't know how long sometime is. Only later. Growing crowd drawn towards it. Oh, the girl's part is his pain. But let me see. Water might look like something. I know. I got the impression that you meant like lying to everyone. It's just the quandary. On my way to photography, I'm still caught by what happened. I mean, or not is that embarrassing just be in terms of social standing. On my first day, I went through something like that, and eventually humiliating people were spreading rumors for days. Sure, I died out pretty quick, but the fact is, it happened. That's fine. Yeah. Always terrified me. Something like that happened to Ben. He was exempt, quick on his feet. It's like disaster avoidance. To have everything under control. Oh, it's sort of capital. It was a little selfish, but if I were it that way. It's Olivia's fault too. Oh no! But Olivia's my golden girl! There's something I like about E1, despite having Wonko behave in the most painfully cringy way possible. It reveals another dimension of other characters you don't get to see, particularly Damien and Mia, both of whom I find fascinating characters. Got a lot of Mia. Why are you wearing a jacket with a dress like that? It's the first and only time we see Damien get angry and vent his best of frustration. Yeah. It's always cathartic to see the friendly nice guy lose his temper, and his outrage towards Olivia is justified. And Wonko. This brings up an important detail which may get overlooked by someone talking about it. Olivia is just as flawed. Better. Ooh. If the theme of Soon and Wani is that the female deuteragonist... Jesus fucking Christ, I'm so stupid.
Deuteragonist.
The deuteragonist! The female deuteragonist is meant to attain personal agency and betterment as much as their male counterpart. It's only fair to be judged as harshly for their own actions. From Damien's outburst, we can infer that Olivia has been trying his patience for years. Randy's as well. He's trying to be supportive of her. Randy's been doing his best to be a good godfather, but Olivia only acts as a spoiled, ungrateful bride in return. She's too reclusive for me to feel like that, though. She's just like, I'm over here, don't worry about me. She's withdrawn. I guess you could call it that, but I don't know. When I think of words like spoiled, I think of like someone who has everything, and it's like, she's not that fancy off. Even hinted in E3 where she admits she didn't want to be part of the fans on the best forms. Yeah. But that's ending 3. You know, she fucked up. No matter how despicable Inko the Terrible may be, Olivia's own culpability must not be overlooked. Furthermore, in some ways, she has a hand in creating Wonko, whatever she knows it or not. She was not honest with him during the Ram scene until he presses her and is manipulating his emotions by taking advantage of him for her own gain. She comes back around, he becomes manipulative, takes advantage of her, almost in a karmic way. And later, Mia's able to also make him feel insecure in the same way Olivia did with her reductive description of him. Nico feels perpetually insecure and his inability to control his feelings were driving him to becoming the way he is. Aww. To elucidate this point, with a lovely word, I want to highlight the important conversation between Mia and Inko during the Winter Farewell. To preface this, a lot of people view me as a one-dimensional villain who acts like a stereotypical... Yeah, that was you! Well, I can agree that she acts like a stock-set bully character, many of complex as an antagonist as Trish. I don't believe she's one-dimensional. For one, she's quite intelligent. Even though she has a short fuse, she's street smart and able to read people. It's only in ending 1 that she's mentioned she's taken drama class and is a skilled actor. This is Gordon. You heard a good word for it to the sake of the argument. Okay, yeah. I mean, why would she lie? Her acting skills are even put on display in E4 when she's caught physically abusing Ben and tries to play it off as her being the victim. So many people play this game actually believe that. Stop taking... God, if you play ending 4 and you believe her, that's just fucking weird, man. Here's the conversation in question. Surprising how easily Mia falls into the steps of a slow dance. I hadn't expected to know how. New Mia keeps me tense, so I do more simple steps. I think she notices my stiffness, though, as the corner of her lips turn downward. Mia, what did you tell Olivia? My work is a distraction. Mouth purses and thought. Oh,
woman talk. Dino woman talk. For the lizard language.
Oh. I give Mia a twirl, and thankfully she tucks her tail to stab me with one of her spikes. And probably part of a spin. You let the tail lag and curl closer as a result. Her hands land on my shoulders again, and she glares at the unexpected move, but our dance continues.
Don't think you pull that kind of move with Olive Girl, Inko.
Har. A grin is back.
I don't know where you're seeing her.
Thought you two would bury the hatchet, Mia. She shrugs and puts me into a twirl. Maintaining my balance, my hands instinctively take her hips this time. Her grin grows wider.
Oh, just saying. It's a miracle you gotten this far, but you have, and I'm impressed.
What's that supposed to mean?
Means that fling of yours is less stable than those other morons in the drama club. What? Means that fling of yours is less stable than those other morons in the drama club one day sober. Everyone can see it plain as day.
Despite its duplicitous nature, she's being honest with Inko. Yeah, I mean, you don't think we're a good couple?
Oh, like hell I do. That shit's delusional.
I like how you're censoring it. I think that's Steam, right?
Has no idea.
Oh, that bitch is delusional.
She has no idea this woman. She picked a fantasy and she's mad about reality every time it raises its ugly head. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if she told you she hasn't drawn a thing since that old teacher kicked the bucket. Go on, yeah, she? See? It's a tantrum. She's a toddler lashing out and screaming for attention that she says she doesn't want is boring.
Is that where you got the fucking kid metaphor from? You just stole it out of Mia's mouth, just grabbed it?
I may be that bitch, but she's just a bitch. It's boring. It's only a matter of time before she throws you out the tomb. You following?
I don't think you're right. Olivia's doing fine. We're having a great day tonight. It's just that it could be, but just because it could be better doesn't negate that. I pretend the chord struck her whole tune. I pretend the chord she struck a whole tune that doesn't exist. I think this is really weird on a lot of levels. To further the musical pun, it is a leitmotif to earlier when Olivia tells him that he acts like a pretentious nitwit, and he admits to himself that it hits too close to home. I pretend the chord she struck a whole tune with doesn't exist. Oh. Olivia and me have both played into his insecurities. Only now, Inko's pretending not to have heard what Mia just said. Even though it's the most important part for her to hear out. Yeah. 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 What's especially in... Wait, oh, shit, I missed over something.
You don't got to, but don't say I didn't warn you. I guess it would suck for you, both of you, if I, of all people,
God, how she thinks.
So pay no mind to little old me.
Then I won't. She's just trying to get to me. I'll make it work. I know Olivia far better than her. Obviously, he doesn't. She understands Olivia better than he. I was being brutally honest with him. None of what she said was untrue. What's important about this exchange is that when Mia says Olivia has picked her fantasy and chose to live in it, and lashes out at the words she reasserts herself. Olivia has her solipsistic attitude to life, and the mindset, and this is her mindset across the endings. In 2, she's conceited. Yep. In 3, she chooses to isolate. The significance is going to be seen in they went to simply to Malone seems to doing okay. Yeah. Try something new. Buy presents. I personally prefer E4. In ending 1, Olivia has no refuge. She hates the world. Wani now embodies everything about it she despises. God, that looks so weird in my brain. Thus, the brutal significance of her line to Wani when she says, I hate you. I think deep down Wani hates her too. Here too has picked his own delusional fancy, floating temper tantrum of his own when reality's come back to bite him. Perhaps this is just meta-commentary on the player. Yeah, the player's big man, Malden, as they say. When Olivia shoves him away in disgust, she is shoving the world away, and thus is the archetype of her own fate as much as Inko himself, to whom he had a hand. Well, he was the last person around to help. This is the fate both characters deserve, and no amount of cope fix in the world can convince me otherwise. I'm sorry to tell you, my man, but... Wait a minute, have I... I know I've written a cope fic, but that one was, like... really weird in context. Range from the funk. Mountain high. I guess there's Olivia in a line of Metal Snow and Metal Snow Shadow and the King in Blue. But like, I don't know what to tell you, but that's like about Nier. That has nothing. That's not a cope fic. If anything, she's going to kick Anon's ass later down the line. Ugh. Man, with all this information, I do want to rewrite that from the ground up. I don't know, man. I don't even know if I want to write anything at this moment. I guess that's the D2 cope fic. Yeah, this is the one. I don't know if I like that one. Balancing the scales, making a deal with the devil. I still don't know if I like that one. It's such a weird one. A more observant stance is like an alt ending 3. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing with these things. I just need to write something. The cost of moving up. Ugh, I still, stuck on. Where's Call Me Fang in all this? Oh, we're not Beth Kiddo Island. Summary. I myself would have written things differently, but that's just me. But now I like to think I understand why they wrote them the way they did, and I respect it. If anything, I think those who feel most offended by portrayal are likely trying to ignore what Oneco's actions may possibly say about themselves with unconceitedness. There's an Oneco in all of us, after all. It was little Olivia herself. He is capable on holding a mirror up to the player, and maybe that's why he creates such a harsh reaction. Because it's true! That's probably why Attica was trying to tell them both. A lot of additional thoughts. As of writing this 2 days later after posing the initial analysis, I just want to share one additional insight. When Mia is telling Inko that Olivia shows no fancy to throwing a 10% from their head, blah blah blah, it's not only true of Inko but of Mia herself. She's living in her own fantasy through her abuse and manipulation of Ben, and she throws a temper tantrum at the climax of E4 when their physical abuse of him is made painfully clear. Ben and Mia's abusive codependent relationship is supposed to be a dark reflection of Inko and Olivia's own relationship. That's a fair one to make. Even if they're very secondary, and that doesn't really work with how little screen time it has. And when it's time to break down character, she's made of projecting her own flaws and insecurities. Of course, that still doesn't make her any less correct. Broken clocks. It just means it sometimes takes one with the disease to recognize it. Yeah, that's what I mean with a broken clock. It's right twice a day. Sometimes the circumstances line up, and the clock happens to be the right thing for the right time. You get it? Right time clock? Hey! The cell doesn't make Mia's convenient appearance at the formal E4 any less lazily written and contrived. Yeah. However, Caveman chose to give her plot armor just to get her there so they could achieve this payoff. Oh yeah, because she does get thrown under the bus, right? Even though Ben is woefully... Oh, thank you, my big analysis man, for telling... pat on the shoulder. Forgive me for all of my sins. If having this resolution is supposed to be important enough that they should have just axed the chase scene. Yeah, I mean, like, it feels like it belongs more in the demo, like the first 4 chapters where things are a little more fantastical. The logistics of make-believe storytelling just don't align. Well, the world becomes too serious by that point. In the first 4 chapters, you could do that and it would work because the world feels a little loosey-goosey. But by this point, it's been way more strict and you just can't pull that shit anymore. And with that said, I don't feel like doing an analysis of because I think it's too contrived and idealistic. The most I'm willing to go so far is to share any revelations about what that ending says about, working in tandem, to make her plot it. Them using their quiet skill from Iadicon to reach his level. Each one is one of his own wings. Oh my gosh, because one makes 2 pictures and the other draws it. The music during the dance is a variation of his theme, the symbolizing... Oh, that's true, yeah! Their mutual attainment of the level skill. The fact reports describes to look more realistic thanks to Inks, as opposed to a usual serial script. So, there you go. There's my analysis of ending 4! That's so fucking harsh. I like how in E1, the protagonist becomes the evil parents. Can't believe you did an analysis of Inko, a specific version of him. I wanted to hear more about you. Pardon me for sounding like such a fanboy, but I can't help but smile at the fact someone sees Inko through such a lens. You're the first person to point out that he's self-hatred, and I choose to vent depending on the ending. I mean, I didn't know, and now I do! That's the fun of learning. Yeah, I know what to think. I think Dude 84 Dude's got a lot of big brain ideas. I don't necessarily agree with all of it, but you know what? Isn't that the point of art criticism? To spark further conversation and have fun with it? Where's that fucking... I want to build that gator. Some mod. So it allows you to play most Snoot mods through Wani without additional setup. Oh, that's awesome! Waiting for the bus. An example mod that allows to show off the mod loader in a short scene eating some ice cream. Oh, that's great. Oh my god, there's a cute little picture of him. Oh yeah, I don't want to forgive that gator. That's what I'm thinking of. Didn't that one get an update? When the hell did I do this? I read it again, but the big problem is I'm a lazy bastard and life doesn't work like that. In order for the core of Wani's narrative to work, which I believe self-actualization, Inko needs to start off as a very bland compared to Anal. Oh, fair enough. The Wani gaming mods anything to go by? The original Anal Inko was a huge ass. Yeah! They may have gone overboard making Inko as bland initially weak as a character. Fair enough. Makes ending 1 also a bit weird. I feel like I just went on a journey with this, man. This ending 1 thing felt like a fucking journey back down ending 1. Only this time I'm here with a guide and a little lantern. I'm shining a little light around, and it's like, man, wow. Yeah, this is Dude 84. Dude, he made it! Ah, I knew it. Oh, man. I waggle my finger. I waggle my fucking finger. I knew it. I knew this motherfucker did it. Oh, man. The changes this brings about knowing that this fucking man did it. Yeah! Oh, I will now completely ignore all of his opinions. I will completely forgo any such self-analysis. He knows nothing, and I am the wisest man around. I'm so curious I'm going back, but like I said, I don't care, right? Like, when I do stuff on my own, right, I clearly get nothing done. Like, writing-wise, I've just been twiddling my thumbs and shit. I think this was fun, and it was a nice change of pace, reading some fun analysis by people, you know? So, thank you, Dude84 Dude, for taking me down this dingy cave and showing me the majesty of stalagmites and stalactites. I feel wiser. Again, I'm not agree with everything, but I think there's magic, right? There's a magic to be found. And just kind of, just kind of having fun. Just kind of shaking that moneymaker. How to complete all 4 endings. What's the story? I don't know nobody. Only 6 guides. Is that it? We're done? So yeah, thank you for this. Like I said, we're going to continue with I Want to Kiss That Snoot, because unfortunately, despite my best efforts, it turns out it actually does know what it's doing. However, Chapter 8 carries that entire burden on its back, because effectively at this point, I'm like, you know what? It might be good. But if Chapter 8 fucking phones it in, why should I care? If you're just gonna pretend, right? At most, I'll give Chapter 9 a look because someone tells me, it's good at Chapter 9. Because I believe him. I really do want to know what Chapter 8 is like, though, because him being sick is hilarious. Wait, 103, 103 degrees? This is Fahrenheit, right? Celsius, what are you, a commie? I can't believe Anon fucking died! Oh. He didn't drink the lean, I think. I think Anon's too smart to drink the lean. Oh man, Anon's having a fucking dream. I'm Amber. Are you my daddy? Oh my god! Oh, this is great. I don't know if it holds up the whole fucking thing. Oh, is he gonna meet that fucking Red Dead guy again? Are you actually bringing Red Dead Man back? Because all I see is like he lit a neon cigar, which makes me think, okay, bring fucking Red Dead Man back. Which, admittedly, unlike the other guy who brought like Iadakon's ghost and did nothing with it, you know what? You have mad respect for me. Mad respect if you have the guts to bring that fucker back. Despite him being a fucking dream guy. I will elbow bump you with the greatest of pride if you fucking fuck my shit up. And then Punch Drunk Creator still chapter 25. Ugh. So sad, right? So thank you for coming. This was a lot of recording. I have so much to upload. I want time to go faster so I can record more. Because as it stands, I have a large backlog. I'm such a fucking gormless man. I'm so gormless. My gorms are gone. Wasn't Inheritance Golden Soul like the fucking... Yeah, that was the funeral chapter. My god! February. Motherfucking February. I mean, no one complains about me not finishing my garbage, so I guess I'm good. What haven't I finished yet? What are the works I have not finished? Ranger in the Fog is technically done. And Amalgam High I finished on a technicality. Olivia in the Land of Metal, Snow, and Shadow. Even though Snow... 3... Yeah, that's not complete. Call Me Fang is technically not complete. I don't think anyone gives a shit about Tell Me Fang. Call Me Fang, because I don't even care about it anymore at this point. Yeah, that's it. So I got like 2. Alright. I feel upset, but fuck it, man. I kind of want to delete Call Me Fang, because I don't really give a shit about that being up there. No one cares. And the other one, technically, I could finish someday. Who knows? But otherwise, thank you for coming. Like I said, it's nice to see some analysis. I really do want to see that review of before they had you know, they had the lit anon criticism and all that. I kind of want to see that, but on the other hand, chase the pace. I got shit to do tomorrow, and I gotta go to bed and brush my teeth, and I have like 20 minutes. Oh, Safi, you're not supposed to record this late. You fool! You moron! Aw, man. How could you do this? How could this happen to me? I made my mistake.